Nowadays, about 10% of fishermen are actually women. Why not? But mind you, back in the day, women were generally not allowed on board with a fisherman. It was said that a woman was bad luck on a fishing boat. Well, sir, we've learned an awful lot since the old days now, haven't we? And here's a story that we were told by Amanda. A story I'd never heard before. A story about a lady who has been seen walking the West Lawrencetown Road and the nearby shoreline for an awful lot of years. Let's give her a listen now, shall we?
My name's Amanda Julian. I grew up here in West Lawrencetown, and when we were kids we had a lot of freedom to ride our bikes and visit the ocean and the beach daily. We had a lot of friends in the neighborhood. We were a very close, tight-knit community. And one of the stories that I remember that my mother used to tell me about growing up here was the story of the Lady in the Mist. And this was a story about a woman who would roam this shore right here. She was holding a lantern and wearing a long white dress with a bonnet. And apparently she was looking for her son and husband, waiting for them to come home. They had left one day on their boat to go fishing, and that evening they didn't return home when they were supposed to. So she came out of her home with a lantern in her hand and kind of walked along the shore, hoping that the boat would see the light and it would guide them home, but they never did show. My great aunt Inez owned the home across the road from us now. It was built in about the 1900s, 1920s, and she owned it in 1940 is when she bought it. And my grandmother and grandfather were living there in the 70s. They moved in, and it was the late 70s when the first sighting of the Lady of the Mist was seen in my family anyway. One of the neighbors saw her and my grandmother saw her. She was coming out of one of those old style cellars that lifted up and you kind of crawled out of the ground. It was Christmas Eve, and the neighbor was going in to get something from the cellar for the party they were having. And when she went in the cellar, this woman was on her way out of the cellar with her lantern and her long robe or gown. And yeah, that's apparently the sighting that we had in our family. As far along the shore that you go, you're going to find other stories about whether it's ghosts or shipwrecks. It's all related to the ocean, and that's because that's our backyard. So there's many stories down this way about the ocean and fishermen especially.
There's something in the mouth of that harbour, or just outside of the mouth of that harbour, that causes compasses to go crazy once in a while. One morning, just at daylight, I was coming in. And you might have known what the Boreas Borealis, I think that's what they call it, isn't it? That big lights in the sky stuff. Well, from out in the mouth of that harbour, outside of the mouth of that harbour, quite often you can see that, but it's always way up northwest of here, way up there. You never see it over the mouth of the harbour. But one morning I was coming in the harbour, and I was just outside of the harbour starting in. I could see the land around me. I wasn't watching my compass. The sky went on fire above me, not up north like the Borealis or whatever you call it is, or should be, that I've seen dozens and hundreds of times, but right over my head. It was like an explosion. The lights, I never saw them so bright. Over there, over the mouth of the harbour, and behind me, of course, nothing up north of me, nothing up in front. It was all to the south and above me. I guess from what I read, it must have been the Aureus Borealis or whatever it is above my head. I don't know. But I do know it was spectacular and unbelievable. I was half scared because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But nothing did happen. I took my time and went up the harbour, went home, went about my business. I never ever saw that before in my lifetime, and I never ever saw it again. And I've never heard anybody else ever speak of it, but nobody was there that particular day. I was the only one out there, around there that day. Something is out there on the mouth of that harbor and outside of it. That's why I feel that you got those wrecked ships that were there from the days when captains relied on their compass. Why should they be there? Why can't they go outside to get into Halifax Harbor? But they all go into that harbor. They don't run ashore down east of here. They don't run ashore up the western of here. There's definitely something somewhere around the mouth of that harbor or outside of it somewhere.
Coming up, the team heads to Lawrencetown in search of the Lady of the Mist.
It's a chilly evening near Lawrencetown, Nova Scotia. We've come out to see if we can communicate with some of the spirits that we've been told roam the area. Interestingly enough, the moment that we got here and we hit the opening, the mouth of this trail, something caught my eye. It was just at dusk, and it's a coin that contains the 10 Commandments. Just kind of stood out like a little bit of a sign as to what we might be up for tonight. So, you never know. But, all right, let's start some things off here. We'll start with the EMF detector, the classic of the ghost hunting or spirit hunting equipment that everybody sees.
EMF detectors locate sources of electromagnetic radiation. Since ghosts are thought to emit electromagnetic radiation or disturb existing magnetic fields, these devices can be used to potentially detect them.
As per what normally happens, I haven't really been given too many details as to what people are seeing. I know that it's the Lady of the Mist is what I'm being told. She's seen in the area. I don't know specifically where or any details of any interactions that might have occurred. So we're just going to kind of take a stroll down, see what we can find, and go from there. So let's head on down, gentlemen. I'm looking to talk with anybody who might be here. Any spirits, anybody who looks to communicate. Can you do that again? Was that you? Is there somebody here who wishes to communicate? That's interesting. Spiking pretty good. Let's turn around this way a little bit here. Can you do that one more time for me, please? If there's somebody here who wishes to communicate, please set off my EMF detector again. Okay. Pull out the spirit box here for a minute.
The spirit box uses radio frequency sweeps to generate white noise. This gives some entities the energy they need to communicate. Interaction occurs as voices or sounds coming through the static.
Okay, I have the spirit box going. If you'd like to communicate with us, please do so. Tell us something. Reach out to us. Tell us your name. What's your name? Are you still here with us? set off my detector for me?
Oh,
That's pretty clear. But that sounded like
sounds like a
John? John or Jordan, something like that. Like it was a J.
something like that.
Trying to hold it up to the mic so maybe we can pick it up a little bit better later. Turn off Spirit Box for a few minutes. Okay. Let's take a smaller walk up. Now, what's really interesting is that in a lot of these cases, and I'm not talking about this one specifically because I don't really know anything about what's been seen in the past, but in cases like this, long stretches of road, even turning sharp corners on roads, when spectral images or paranormal occurrences have been seen or sighted, typically it's in the flash of a headlight. Somebody swears they saw something. But there's the occasional one that happens where there's an absolute vision of something or somebody right there in front of you. Blink for too long and they're gone. So it'd be really interesting, to see something. Be interesting to know a little bit more about what's been seen here before. There's something or somebody right here. If you're here and you wish to communicate with us, please make yourself known. Set off my detector again. Thank you. So just walking along the main section on the upper side of the road, we've had some very interesting readings. It's a little inconclusive at this point. We're talking a little bit, we're getting some response. There's some response that's just happening from us being here with no request for interaction of any kind. It's an interesting location. There's definitely potential to, like I said, see something, the way that the road dips and dives and bobs, and you can only imagine what might be caught in the glimpse of a headlight coming around this corner or along this main stretch. As it is, we were standing here and we heard what sounded like somebody walking, and the moment that a headlight came into view, it was a deer standing 100 feet away from us and trotting along the side of the road. So you never know. If there is something up here, if people are really seeing the Lady of the Mist this far away from the water and the beach, then maybe it's a path or a trail that's been regularly, walked. One of the most common theories about spirits and ghosts and why they continually perform such tasks as walking through an area, along an area, etc., is it's just a continual exertion of energy that might have occurred over a certain period of time. It might be one of those things that's leading us to where more of the stories can be, shared about where she's been seen. So we're going to take the opportunity to actually go further up the road, down the road specifically actually, and hit the beach area where apparently she's been seen more often. So we're going to take the equipment and we're going to head out that way then. That's awesome. So we've made our way down to the actual beach side here, where apparently the paranormal vision of this Lady of the Mist has been seen walking along the beaches, lovelorn, you know, a lover lost at sea. She yearns for him. So we're just out here right now. We just wanted to kind of take a moment, settle into a certain position and see if we can communicate, see if there's any option or availability of her to be here with us tonight. So we're looking to speak with the Lady of the Mist, looking to communicate. If you're with us, please set off my detector. Let us know that you're here. Give us a sign of your presence. We're looking once again to speak with the Lady of the Mist, but we will speak with anybody who's here. Maybe you don't know that you're referred to as the Lady of the Mist. Whomever is here, who might be here that wishes to talk with us, please let us know that you're here, you're willing to communicate. It's interesting too, because you can feel a lot of life in this area. You know, with the sea crashing,
yeah,
the waves going like they are, the animals that you can just hear in the distance. It's very alive here. Even in the nighttime like this, the dead of night. This would definitely be a prime place that if there was activity of any kind for it to start to show up. You know, when you're performing an investigation like this, there's a big difference between being a skeptic or just being somebody who wants to know the truth of what's going on, you know. So we've been in what would appear to some to be your presence for a while now. You know, we're where people say that you've been found, seen, where you've exerted enough energy that maybe a continual, you know, exertion of that energy beyond life occurs. If you're here, make your presence known. Talk to us. Set off my detector maybe. If there's anything here, it's camera shy tonight, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So we just came back from the main road where the Lady of the Mist is said to have been seen, and we also visited the beach area. It was an interesting night. I mean, it wasn't a misstep in any form of investigation, and it was definitely worth the time to come out here. There was the feeling of things.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard to explain unless you actually experience it.
I find, especially for me, because I know I've mentioned it before already about being so skeptical, but you know, I definitely felt, as again, like you just said, it's hard to explain, about some kind of energy, if you want to say energy, or a feeling, something was definitely there when we were in the road area that I felt.
Yeah, we didn't feel alone by any means. And like I said, like this area, just the Maritimes in Canada, you know, there's so much wildlife and life all over the place at all times. You know, it's hard to feel alone, you know, with some of this. But you know, on that old stretch of road that just kind of winds off into the distance, you know, it really did feel like something was there. There was a presence of some kind, whatever that might be. Going about the beach like we did as well, it was almost hauntingly empty. Like I said, you could feel the presence of the ocean, wildlife around you, but more than the road itself, you almost did feel void and alone out there.
You did.
It was a much more empty space feeling. Like, I didn't get the same feeling as what we had on the road by any means.
Sure. And it's funny how we both felt that. And when you were describing your feeling, I was hoping that we were going to be on the same page, and we were, man. You explained it perfectly.
Yeah. And that just goes to show, once again, it's maybe there is something going on there too, and maybe we just didn't hit the right time. It could be one of those things where, just like a lot of, repetitive exertion of energy, which is one of the schools of theories that I follow for paranormal investigation, might not be the right time of day, time of night, day of the week, season, for what we want to experience. It's definitely worth further thought, and for anybody who wants to experience what we experience, it's definitely worth your time.
I do worry that in time, these ghost stories will fade away as the older generation passes away and people move away, and new families come in. So I think it's important for us to write down these stories now, or at least try to remember them and pass them on to our kids so that they can tell them as well.